Hey, Scott here. Today I want to talk to you about a new job, a repair job that I picked up. A fellow called me up, a friend of a neighbor or somebody I did some work for. I don't usually like to take on new customers because I'm plenty busy already. But anyway, this guy calls me up, says I got a rototiller that I'd like to just get it running so it starts on the first pull. That's all I want. And I was half serious, mostly serious, when I said, well, I'm not interested in restoring something that your dad bought after the end of World War II or something. So hopefully it's not too old. And he goes, well, something like that. So I said, all right, fine, I'll take a look at it. Let me show you what he brought me. And this is what he brought me. It's an old Ariens Jet rototiller, obviously. He says it runs great, except he has to pull and pull and pull to get it started. Well, check this thing out. First of all, the gas cap is missing. They replaced it with some bottle cap from coolant or something. The air filter's toast. That foam in there is pretty ratty looking. Somebody replaced the fuel line a while back, and instead of running the fuel line through here like Tecumseh engines usually have, they ran it around. No big deal. The choke on the carburetor doesn't even touch the spring anymore, so I don't know if this wire was for holding the air filter on or holding the choke in the off position or something. I'm not so sure. But this is the rototiller, and he wants me to get this so it starts on the first pull. Alright, well, I looked up on the internet for a carburetor for, by the way, this is Tecumseh H30, and I'll give you the model number here on the screen there. Alright, so looked up on Amazon some aftermarket carburetors and get this thing for less than 20 bucks. A little bit different, but probably will work. However, I came up with another possible solution that he agreed to. Let me show you what that is. That other solution is that I have this Tecumseh engine, 3.5 horsepower. Don't know where I got it from. Don't think I paid any money for it. But he agreed to have me just swap this out. Look at that. The gas cap is original. So there's a little bit of a difference, but I think I'll be able to just take off the old engine and pop this one on. But let me show you how well this one starts. Gosh, looks like that's it. Well, it's even got the original spark plug there. It's been painted. Well, we'll update the spark plug for him. All right, let me pull start this thing and show you how well it runs. All right, I checked the oil. I put fresh gas in it because while it was in storage here in my house, it did not have any gas in it. So here we got choke, throttle, and let's give it a pull, see what happens. Alright, anyway, it runs. Seems I got a little carburetor adjusting to do once it warms up, but it did start on the second pull, so it's a go. Let's do the work. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is get this pulley off the back, and I already loosened it a little bit, and so let me finish that job here. This belt keeper right here was there. I loosened this bolt, and I can just swing that out of the way. And then the pulley here has two set screws with Allen head, so I use an Allen wrench to loosen it up. Let's get the belt off of there. Yeah, I see it needs a new belt. I'll worry about that later. Alright, and I did have to tap on this a little bit to break it loose, but it looks like I'll have to tap on it again. There it goes. Alright, so let's hang on to this. And then we will disconnect the throttle cable and then get the 4 bolts from underneath that hold the engine on. Alright, so the throttle is held in place. The throttle cable, I should say. I got a screw here. I'll loosen that up. And then it's fed in from the back side. That's different. I don't think we're going to be using this throttle cable because the other engine doesn't have the connection for it. Okay, come on. That should be an easy thing, right? There it goes. Alright, let's get underneath. Alright, so I laid it on its side just to kind of give you an idea of what's holding this engine on. We've got nuts on the top here, and underneath we've got just bolts right here. So, and we got 4 of them, 2 down there and 2 up here. So it looks to be about 1/2 inch or so. Alright, let's just see how easy this comes off. Alright, that one was pretty easy. Seems I can hold it from underneath. Almost, not quite. Oh my goodness. There's so much oil and schmutz on the bolt, it doesn't want to come out. There we go. There's the first bolt and nut. I'll get the rest. Anyway. Alright, all 4 bolts are off. Just lifts right off. Easy peasy. Now I'll clean this up a little bit and put the other one back on. One thing we want to make sure of too, you hear the engine's back to back or shaft to shaft, and it's important to know that the shafts are the same height. Otherwise we might be thinking about getting a different belt length, but we're in good shape. So there you go. Alright, so we got the bolts and the nuts and everything. I think they're stainless steel actually, all cleaned up. We got the plate there, the mounting plate cleaned up. So let's put the new / old engine on. And because they're both Tecumseh, the holes should line up, the mounting holes, and it looks like they do. There you go. Bolts are plenty long. Alright, so I'll put the rest of the bolts in and then we'll get back to you. Alright, so I got the engine mounted, no problems there. And so when I started up, like you saw before, I couldn't get it quite to run smoothly. And I'm going to show you what I need to do. When I have the throttle all the way up like this is a choke in the on position. It should be able to run, once it's warmed up, off like that. But it's hunting, and it won't run except if it's on partial choke. The reason being is that underneath the carburetor here, let me show you, get the camera down there. Right here is the needle. Oop, down here. And so what's happening when a carburetor hunts like that, it's usually because it's not getting enough gas flow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start it up, show you how it hunts, and then what I'm going to do is reach down here and turn this, unscrew it slowly until you hear the engine smooth out with the choke in the off position. Alright, so now I did not shut it off as much as I put it down into idle mode and it stalled. That's a different adjustment, and for that we're going to go on the other side of the carburetor. On this side of the carburetor there's a small screw right there. Use a flat-headed screwdriver, and that would be the low speed adjustment. So I'm going to start it back up, and we're going to, usually you can turn that all the way in and back it out like one full turn, or sometimes 1.5 turns, and then that should smooth out the idle. I should be able to idle this engine without stalling. So let's fire it up and give it a try. I think that's good. So what I did is I turned it all the way in gently till it stopped, and then I turned it out 1/2 and then one full turn, and that seems to have smoothed it out and allowed it to idle without stalling. In fact, it's still The throttle's still low. Well, show you that other screw that I just adjusted. On the top of the carburetor here, right here, is another screw that you would turn in and out. And what that does is that adjusts the position of this. So I backed it out, and that slowed the engine down. And the fact that the engine kept running at a nice slow speed makes me feel good. Okay, now with the engine running smoothly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the rust off of that shaft there, and we'll get the pulley back on that shaft, get the belt back on, and see if this thing will till. Pretty. And let's line up the, I'm going to get a little sandpaper inside there, clean out the inside of this as well. Alright, so I've got the shaft cleaned up. I ran some sandpaper inside the pulley here, and now I'm just going to put a little dab of anti-seize go. A good friend of mine said, you know, when you use anti-seize, that stuff gets on things you haven't even touched. So there we go. Make sure the key is tapped in all the way. Okay, come back around. Alright, now we'll line up the pulleys for the belt. I do believe the shaft on this engine is a little longer than the other one. Well, let's get everything lined up here. Alright, a little bit more. I think that should be good. And now we'll tighten up these two set screws. And we are using a number 4. Oh, gotta get it out of there. Alright, and the last thing we're gonna do is tighten up this bolt down here, which again I think is 1/2 inch. Yes. What's nice is that this sits in a groove right down here on the unit, so you know it's in the right spot. Alright, well, the belt seems a little tight. Well, not so bad. Let's fire it up, see what happens. Let's take a quick look at the model number of this engine. It's an H35 45410N as in Nancy, serial number of 1133B. 3.5 horsepower. And the old engine, let's take a look at the model number there. Let's see if it can hold this up. Alright, we're looking at an H30 350770, serial number 493. So that's the old model, the old engine by Tecumseh. Tecumseh, yeah. Alright, there we go. Put an old engine on an old rototiller to replace an even older engine on a rototiller. Tecumseh for Tecumseh. Alright, thanks a lot for watching.